Mr. Jadd, thank you for talking with me today.
Yeah, nice to be here, buddy.
Heck yeah, we're here in Lake Atitlán, San Pedro, and you've decided to live out here, huh?
I have. This is my, fourth or fifth time yet. I haven't really done the math, but I've been coming here now off and on for 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel you. You know, you got to escape the United States sometime. You got to find a new home, new place to live. I mean, I've been all over the United States, and I felt very lucky to have lived and landed in Colorado.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful place to live. And man, living around here, holy crap.
Yeah,
Views are spectacular.
It's one beautiful vortex, I can tell you that. I fell in love with the lake the first time I was actually able to get here. I tried to come here 3 different times. And almost every single day of or month that I was going to fly here, something exponential happened, whether it be career or family, financial or whatever. And I'll tell you what, the first time I was able to come down to that hill in Ponachil and see that vortex, dude, it just it reminded me of my Neverland.
Yeah, I mean, I was in Guatemala 10 years ago, but I didn't have a chance to come out to Lake Atitlán.
Yeah.
I had a friend that came out and visited here, and she spoke like really highly of the place, really liked it, you know, and I knew that it was definitely something I missed out on. So this is probably, you know, one of the new places that I'm going to go on my trip, and man, it's been great flying the drone around.
Yeah,
I mean,
I bet.
every night the sunset is spectacular over the mountains and the
for sure.
lakes, and yeah, Lake Atitlán, big freaking lake. I'm from Minnesota, so you know I see huge lakes all the time.
Yeah.
But you know each city is different. You know.
Are you talking about the 13 villages around the lake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Give us a rundown. What's out here?
Well, let's see. So there's 13 different villages around the lake. I'd say each village has some sort of a different reason for it being there. I couldn't necessarily give you the local rundown for how they differentiate locally wise. I know some are more fishing villages. Some concentrate more on coffee and whatever the local export is here. But like for instance, San Pedro, where we're at now, is considered more of like the party town, right? It's had that vibe at least for the last 7 years that I've been coming here. And hold on one second. Sorry.
Yeah, there's always something going on at Jadd's house.
Sorry, that was my personal tuk-tuk driver.
Man.
He comes up to check on me twice a day to make sure I don't need groceries or anything like that.
Oh yeah. I mean, when you're living up here, I mean, you got the money to live like a king, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, this apartment, my God, is like anything I would expect to see in, you know, Colorado, Denver, or
for sure. I got super lucky with this one. Like the Airbnb situations here are outrageous, and luckily I know a local couple that owns 3 or 4 properties, and I just basically went back to them this time. But to get back to what I was saying about the different villages is that like San Marcos, for instance, is considered your really organic kind of crunchy town, you know, as people would say. They're very spiritual over there. There's not a lot of alcohol intake. They're more on their granolas and psilocybin over there, you know.
Yeah, I didn't see too many locals over in San Marcos.
No.
It's kind of just like an expat
haven.
Yeah.
I mean, they have some really cool places like the Bird's Nest over there, and they do a lot of like circus-related training and stuff like that. They do a lot of aerials and silks and a lot of ecstatic dance and your yogas and all that type of stuff.
And it's also like very eco-minded kind of culture over there too.
It is.
Sustainability is important to them.
For sure.
You know, these are the people that come and live over there. My impression was that, you know, these are people that are tired of like the consumerism in the States, and they kind of want to make sure that they're living sustainably and perpetuating, you know, a good and clean environment. Which is kind of funny because the lake here is kind of really dirty. I mean, you can swim in it, but you can get sick really
I've definitely
easily.
come down here and I think swam in the lake and caught the amoeba virus.
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago when I was here for a couple months. Yeah.
But the locals, man, they're out here freaking washing their clothes in it. They got soap. They're like bathing themselves.
The women here at 5:30 in the morning are literally out there at sunrise, and I'm like, it's the coldest part of the morning in there.
Yeah.
But dude, their thick skin is something else.
Oh man, the people here are just they're tough like oxen. I mean, I see guys like little guys like 5 foot tall dudes, 4'8", and they got like the headband strap, and they're just carrying wood like as more than their body weight.
Yeah.
And they're going for who knows how long.
Yeah, the other morning I was on what I like to call like a psychedelic walkabout, and I was coming back up through the maze, which if those of you who don't know about San Pedro, that it's literally cobblestone streets that are like built in on the side of Volcano Pedro.
Yeah.
Right, and I like to consider this place like the movie The Labyrinth. And,
Oh, yeah.
And it's like trying to get through the maze to the top of the Goblet Mountain, you know. And I was walking through the maze, and I came across this elderly woman. She must have been 45, 55, right? And she was probably 5'2", 5'3". Oh, sorry, 5'2", 5'3". And the hill was like this. She had 3 baskets.
Oh my God.
3 baskets and hands full of just whatever stuff she had. And I saw that she noticed that she was behind me, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going to pass this woman. I'm going to sit there. And I watched her walk up. Like, it must have been a good 100 meters, you know, of just an incline like this. And I wanted to take...
the inclines here are insane on the side of the volcano.
I wanted to take the cell phone out so bad and like
And just
videotape it, but I was like, you know what? This moment is going to be for me, and someday I'll write and tell about it, you know?
Yeah, dude. The work ethic around here is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
But I've been really enjoying like all the street food and talking with the locals.
All the authentic fabric.
You got like a tailor here too.
Yeah, I have a...
Oh man, I'm so jealous of you. I mean, I like brought all these clothes with me. There's like hardly any room in my bag.
Yeah.
And here I'm missing out on all this like local garb. You know, I feel like that's another part of it, right? So when I first started traveling, for me it was enough to just go to the places.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I kind of wanted to make sure I was trying some of the local foods, and then I was talking to more locals.
Yep.
You know, but actually starting to like wear the clothing of the people that live there, I think that's when we start getting there. I mean, some of my favorite parts about traveling is just going where the locals go, whatever that means.
I feel like I've done an extensive amount of backpacking in my life. I think I'm up to about 36 or 37 countries now. And I realized when in my younger days, you know, it was like 4 days here, 5 days here, 3 days here. And then I realized that once I finally got stuck in my first place when I was in Laos, everything becomes cheaper. You don't necessarily get charged that Western gringo price, you know, and then you really get to understand the like authentic flavor of where you're living at. And now in my travels, I consider what I call recycling countries. So now there has been 2 or 3 places that has stolen my heart that I've gone back to now and at least left a lasting impression. So when I come back, people still know my name.
But you definitely thought of Lake Atitlán as where you wanted to be.
Oh, for sure. Like the last time I came down here, I microdosed on psychedelics and wrote my senior thesis to get my bachelor's degree in military history. And then this time around, 2 years later, I've decided to embark on my master's degree program, and I'm doing the first semester of school, embedding myself here in the village and doing that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I got some aspirations. I finished like 2 books today. I had
great.
an audio book that I was playing, 1984. I was telling
I
you about
remember you telling that, yeah.
Really, really great book, and it kind of has some philosophical overtones. And yeah, this morning I finished an actual paper book at the coffee shop today for like the history of philosophy. And it was some ideas that I'd heard before, but it definitely was nice to have like the structure to it. And yeah, I mean, just coming out to these beautiful places, the days get hot, the sun comes out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to read or study or do some self-improvement.
Yeah.
And yeah, this place has a little something for everybody. I mean, I definitely think it's special.
It really does. I mean, you'll find, the longer you stay here, the more expats you'll run into. Mm-hmm. And I've seen now a lot of them are kind of on a seasonal thing. They'll be gone for most of the was it like June or May or June to October for rainy season, and then they're back. And I'm definitely starting to become one of those people. But I hopefully aspire one day to own a small little slice of land here on the lake.
Oh heck yeah, dude! And I'll be coming back to visit you for years to come.
For sure, dude.
Because honestly, like I was on a walk with one of my buddies that I met here. He's from Colorado as well. Different guy from the guy I interviewed last. This is a different motorcyclist from Colorado named Zach. But we were just talking to each other, and he was talking about being homesick and how home seems so far away. And I'm like, dude, 8 hours, 3 hours to the airport, 4 hours in the plane. I could be on my couch in about 8 to 9 hours.
Yeah,
back home in the United States.
If you really wanted to swing it, for sure.
You could
for
do
sure,
it.
Yeah.
But why? And just in reverse too. Like you can go from Colorado to here we are on Lake Atitlán in about that same amount of time.
Well, it's crazy. When I first started backpacking after I got out of the military at the age of 25, I found out this very, very like alarming statistic is that less than 10% of Americans have passports.
Oh yeah,
and that was in 20.
Well, you don't need it when you got like half a continent.
I know.
Yourself.
I mean, that was like 2012, and I believe I looked up a statistic now, and I believe that this rose up to about 30%. I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think people, as the economy progresses, flights get cheaper.
Yeah.
Traveling becomes more accessible. I think there's a lot of people that create content about traveling that kind of inspire people. So I'm glad. I want to see that that percentage go up and up and up.
Oh, for sure.
Well, what do you think? When you travel, what do you get out of it? Like, why do you travel?
I mean, I travel because it brings out a sense of life in me. Like when you're just sitting on your couch in the suburb or that apartment that you've been to and living at for years, whatever, you don't have that as like esprit de corps that you want to get out and say, man, I could get outside right now and any possibly thing could happen.
I know.
And it's like something new and fresh. And then that, I believe that once, like you embed yourself within the culture, whatever that language is, but also it's the people that you meet when you travel.
I just want to interject real quick because funny story, like last night I was just getting some tacos, standing there waiting in line, and suddenly this dude like walks right by me, and I like do like a double take, and he's carrying like a quarter of a cow. So he's got like the belly attached, the shoulder attached. Was
it just right over the shoulder, or
what? He was just huffing it. It's like the guy's carrying the freaking timberwood. And he's just carrying a cow, and I was within like a couple inches of him, and he just takes it off down this dirt road and into a back room. Like, there ain't no, like, carniceria that back there.
No.
I mean, it's like, what are they doing? And it's like, well, I guess they're making tacos out of it.
Right.
But it's just like, stuff like that, normally, I wouldn't see that in the States. Some dude just walking around with, like, 200 pounds of butcher meat.
Yeah.
And you, like, look in the back of his truck where he came from. There's, like, the whole other half of the cow. And you're like, holy crap. So, like, clean and fresh, maybe, I mean, that's about as fresh as it gets. I don't know about clean, though. 'Cause it's like a dusty-ass street,
Well, I mean, that's the thing that you...
But that's why I like traveling, right? It's because, like, shit will just shock you. You'll just be shocked.
Yeah.
Like, this is what's happening. Okay.
It's
the
like...
meat doesn't come in nice little bags here.
And it's like
on some guy's shoulder.
The more that you travel, the more things it almost takes to almost like... Did I really just see that? Yeah. Like, did I just see a moped with a small chihuahua, 2 children, a wife, and a husband carrying groceries? You're like, no seatbelt laws here,
No, man. No, they don't have time for that.
No, not at all.
This place moves.
Yeah.
The tuk-tuk drivers here are crazy aggressive, though. They're just, like, swamping the streets.
Oh,
and they got these, like, high brights, and you're just shining into your eyes.
They have no disregard at all, dude.
No.
No, not at all. No.
And, yeah, I mean, I appreciate your point earlier about you have to hang out in a place to like not get ripped off.
Well, you have to like understand like
I've taken this tuk-tuk drive before. I know what it costs.
You're like, it's not 20, dude. It's 5 or 10 depending on what time of the day it is.
Right.
Oh
man, but they'll get you. Cause I was getting like some chocolate and some like an ice cream cone or something. At 30 quetzals, And I think that was a bit high for items that and you got to think about it. Do you want to like barter and like fight with them about it? But
I mean, I'm sure every time, depending on what store, like little bodega that you go to, that at the very end of that there's like gringo tax. Yeah, you're like 10% on top, 10% on top.
Well, you can tell when they get out the calculator, right? They don't even try and tell you the price.
No,
they're just
they're just
telling you the number.
Yeah,
so they
for
just
sure.
Hold up the little calculator and they're like, pay it, gringo.
Let me ask you, like, how many continents have you been on? Have you been to Europe? Have you been to Asia? Have you been to any of those?
I was in Europe for a month. I was mostly there for like a motorcycling tour.
Okay.
My uncle, my cousin and I, we rented some motorcycles out of Germany and we did a nice little loop around the Alps. It was really great, but I need to spend like a lot more time. I think, if I stacked up all the time I've spent abroad, maybe 5 months, maybe 6 months, over like the last 10 years. And obviously, right, I'm on week 3 already in Guatemala. I'm going to be here for another 5 weeks. And then I'm going to Africa for at least 3-4 months.
Okay.
And after that, I don't know what's going to happen.
It's such a huge jump.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm done. I forget if I mentioned this to you, but like I don't really have anything to go back to.
Okay.
I rented out the house.
Okay.
I winterized the car and the motorcycle. Canceled all the insurance.
Yep.
There's nothing. If I were to go back home, it would really only just be to leave again.
Yeah. Family, mom and dad still.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's hard, like being away from them for like holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas. But the truth is, man, Minnesota is like a really miserable place during those months.
Yeah.
And family is great. But one day, I hope that they come and visit me where I am.
My mom has come and visit me here at the lake before.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That'd be trippy, I bet.
Well, so me and my mom, right, from the age of 50, 55, 60, 62, 65, and 70, we've met in a different country.
Nice.
And we've backpacked together.
Nice. So you guys have that connection.
Oh yeah, for sure. My mom's
yeah.
my mom's my best friend, my accountant. She's my concierge. I call her in the middle of the night. Hey mom, credit card got canceled. Can you front me some money until tomorrow so the banks, stuff like that. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So a little bit more about your past. You used to be in the Marine Corps, yeah?
Yeah, I was an active duty Marine for just about 8 years. I did 4 combat tours. I did 2 to Iraq, Fallujah 06, Ramadi 07, and then I got sent to Okinawa in 2008, 2009, and spent 3 months fighting there in the Philippines. And then
I'm sorry, what was happening in the Philippines? What year was this?
In the Philippines, this was end of 2008, beginning of 2009. There was a militant group called the Abu Sayyaf, and then they had been down in southern Mindanao, which is close to Indonesia, which is more of a Sunni like triangle kind of down there. It's all very Muslim occupied, and then I got tasked to go down there and use my artillery system, and we ended up killing the #1 high value target while we were there. It was a very, very interesting, covert ops type.
Yeah, because I have a U.S. Army artillery background. Did you use MLRS?
No, so at that time, the M777 howitzers had just come out.
Okay.
I was fortunate enough to be in one of the.
Are those the tracked howitzers?
No, these are
Those
GP.
are Paladins.
Yeah, those are Paladins, but these are the new titanium head-towed, not like rear-towed like the M19 or 8s. And they had the ability to do GPS guided rounds.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
See, we've read about those in the textbooks of National Guard.
Yeah.
And I always thought to myself, GPS guided artillery rounds, so you launch it out of a cannon.
Yep.
And then the GPS coordinate zeroes in and it does flight adjustments in
Yep.
path.
Yeah.
Does it have rocket boosters on the shell?
It would depend on
Or is
what
it fins?
it would depend on what round you were using.
Ah.
Right, you know what I'm saying?
But dude, those things are so high tech, man.
Oh, it was
Even just a basic artillery shell at the time when I was in around 2015 or so, that shell was like $5,000 each. So the shells you were firing, those were probably like $50,000 each.
Yeah, they were something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We dropped 108 high explosive rounds on 3 different small enemy encampments.
So were you infantry or?
No. I was a section chief. I made it to the rank of sergeant, and
For the gun piece.
Yeah,
Badass,
I commanded and had my own artillery piece. I've shot live combat rounds on 3 different continents now.
Damn, bro.
Yeah. And then after I got back from the Philippines, I hung around for like 8 or 9 months and had the itch to want to go back. And they were asking for sergeants with special grades to be able to volunteer to go to Afghanistan. And then I did a year in Afghanistan.
Holy shit, man. Well,
Yep.
thank you for your service.
I
know
appreciate
that
it,
that kind of as somebody who's been in the military but never deployed
Yeah,
overseas,
yeah.
never been in a combat environment. Holy crap. I mean, you are the guys that we look up to, right? Because we're tangentially, we're on the fringes of what you guys see and what you guys talk about. I've had the privilege of meeting Rangers and SF guys, and they're usually leading instructions and training events and things. man, are those guys intense, you know?
They're intense. They're
And, I mean, you're kind of just like that, you know? You're out there and you're fighting a good fight, man.
Yeah.
You experience some shit, man, that changes you.
Oh no, I would say I think I was very fortunate enough in my own mental fortitude that the things that I did experience and the combat that I did have to face, for whatever reason, mentally did not like send me off the edge, you know. But I think a lot of that after getting out would be to traveling, right? Because I went from this like kill mentality to like love, appreciation, and art, you know. And it was also too like some of the times I was deployed, I didn't know I need this on my bucket list, but I was deployed to the worst city.
Fallujah, right?
Fallujah and Ramadi, and then once again when I was in Afghanistan 3 times in a row, that it was the most death per capita per day in the world. And I was like,
and you were the one there pulling the cables.
And I was there, and I was like, wow, like didn't really know I needed that bucket list, you know?
Oh man.
And
dude, that's something. So as I was a fister, right? So I was the guy observing the target. Forward observer support team. Something for fire support team.
Yeah. Puddle in, puddle out.
Dude, it was funny, man. I remember the first day of fister training. They were like, "Now don't go get that fister tattoo."
Right.
Like, okay, guys. But no, it was kind of like a point of pride a little bit, you know, because they were telling us, right, that the fisters, you know, per hour on the job kill more people than anybody in the military.
Yeah.
Like they get credited the kills when the rounds land on target, right?
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not the gunnery chief. They're just shooting into the sky.
For sure.
They're not the ones confirming anything. But the fister, right, can say, you know, splash down on target.
Yep. Splash out, splash in.
Yeah, and then the fisters, right? Artillery is just one component. If you're like I forget what it stood for exactly. But you know, you could coordinate with naval batteries.
Yeah, I know for sure.
Airstrikes. And all sorts of munitions. You know, like attack on target with like chopper gunners and stuff like that.
HIMARS,
so,
all of it.
You know, so being a fister, right? That was a job that kills probably more people than anybody else. Maybe, and at least in the Army.
For sure.
And you name an organization that kills more people than the U.S. Army.
Yeah, well, that was one thing I always loved about artillery. It was, you know, we're you know, considered the king of battle, and then
king of battle. Yeah, and that's World War II.
And there's nothing better than raining down still rain. You know.
I remember that title on Call of Duty. That's an unlockable right there. One of the first ones you get. Yeah, but it's I know the military changed me, even though I was just in training environments, you know. But most of it I felt was for the better, right? Like I got like a good sense of discipline, you know, a good work ethic,
leadership, you know, and it gives you. I think if you rise up the ranks, right, you'll learn how to teach and lead in almost every setting and every climb. You know what I'm saying? Depending on how much responsibility is given to you. Because I think now in my life, I look now and I'm 38 years old. I'm like what consider myself, at least when it comes to weld inspection and the military stuff, is I'm an operator. Right, you
do the mission.
You
identify the mission. You execute.
I'm the type of person that like you basically train me once. The second time, shadow me. I might ask a question or two, and then on the third one, I'm good. You don't need to worry about me anymore.
Right.
And then I always feel that when you're working in any sort of setting, once you're able to teach somebody, I think that's like the best way to psychologically be able to like really learn your trade. You know,
that's something I always appreciated about the military was, you know, if you're not training, you're training.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
You're training somebody else. You know, like right.
Yeah.
And that's how they really, you know, teach you proficiency in your warrior tasks and drills. You know?
Yeah.
I kind of wish that I would have enlisted in the Marines personally.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the Marines is like peak of the peak, you know, top of the top.
I think
you
it's
get better training, better equipment.
No,
you know, better
that's
leadership.
wrong. Better training, yes, definitely more discipline. But gear wise, we get the hand-me-downs from the Army.
Really?
Everything.
Man, I'm talking. Who Big Brother is in this.
I'm talking our M16s. It was like forever before we got M4s, and then like our MVGs were still the double ones, you know, and not the single. And like that's the same thing with the 777s. The howitzers went to the Army first. And and then they finally let us build them.
The grass is always greener on the other side, man. That's like a staple of life.
Well, it's, the Army is considered an occupying force, right? And the Marine Corps is considered the 911 force, first in,
2RF or something.
first in, last to leave,
Right.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But it all works together.
I mean, it's definitely one of the most commanding forces, I think, in our world today still,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So you didn't travel much before the military or during the military?
So before the military, I'd say I did my fair. I've been to 48 states, right? Only ones I'm missing are basically Alaska and North Dakota.
Yeah.
I did a fair bit of traveling when I was younger. I was a professional BMX bike racer. For about.
Oh, this is new lore. Okay. Man, we got oil rig, we got freaking.
Yeah, so for about a decade, I think from the age of like 5 or 6 to almost 15 or 16, I was sponsored by like GT and Powerlight, and I would go around the country and race nationally. And that was more like a lot of flying here and there, and then some sort of caravanning. My mom basically, she took care of me. She drove me to almost every national if they weren't paying for it. And then I didn't really grow up too much with a dad. He was a bit of a delinquent up till the age of I was like 13 or 14, but he ended up getting a truck driving license. And so my mom decided that if he was sober enough and responsible enough to be able to drive a truck, that I should be able to go spend time with him. So 8th grade summer to senior year in high school, for a month every summer, I would get in the 18-wheeler. And I would.
Oh, you saw America.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, you saw all the truck stops.
I saw all the truck stops. That was the time I learned about who my dad was. He taught me a certain number of things. I wouldn't say his moral compass was definitely true north, right? But yeah, it's funny. I've been from Bangor, Maine, down to Miami to Spokane, Washington, down to San Diego, back and forth. Like I couldn't even tell you how many times. But my dad there's no, oh, hey, let's go look at Niagara Falls. Or like,
he's on the clock.
No, it was from casino to casino.
Oh.
I have been to every Indian casino and like just about every major casino that on the East Coast, West Coast, and in between.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I remember they wouldn't even let me in the casino unless I was 18.
I had a fake ID back then, and the first time I gambled, I sat down at a poker table was in Spokane, Washington. The exit was 134A, and it was Freddie's place. And I had a fake ID, and I had the balls enough to just sit down in this card room. And that was the first time I came up with my first alter ego. I had long sideburns. First alter ego. I had long sideburns, and I was like, I think 17 or 18. And I had a pretty decent sized goatee, right? And at that time, the Texas IDs were a little bit raised. So I would take acrylic paint and turn my six. Because I'm born in '86, I turned it to a 0, right? And they didn't have like the scanners and all that type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I met these really 2 hot women, and we left the poker table and sat down at the bar. And at that time, I was Jadd Joseph. I had just graduated from the University of Texas with an engineering degree, and I was a train operator.
This is a super bad episode.
and I was a train operator.
Okay.
Yeah, because for whatever reason, I was thinking engineer as a train engineer.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So, my God, were you just like born with this like sense of self, like this smooth guy?
I mean, I don't know, man.
Charmer type.
I consider myself at least junior high and high school. I was like the chameleon.
Yeah.
I was the one that ran through the soccer because I played soccer from freshman year to senior year, and I was a little bit of the stoner kid, but like I was accepted by the preps, the goth kids like
that
me.
is because you were just making everybody laugh too.
I was always just very friendly, I've always had this like very upbeat demeanor, and lately, at least since I've been out of the military, I express a lot of that through my clothes.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
man. I could tell the moment I met you from your style. I was like, this guy's got something to say. He's got a story here.
Well, it's just like I'm like kind of a like it, leave it, or get the F out type of guy, right? Mm-hmm. And like I feel like after cheating death 8 to 12 times, that like it shouldn't matter to anybody how I dress. right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I believe in consent in people's personal space, you know, but like when I meet people, I tell them like, look, I already have a whole lot of friends, right? And I'm like trying to take you out. I'm trying to take you outside your box because like I'm like a square peg trying to fit into a round hole, and it's like I'll press your buttons a little bit, right? And I'll make you feel a little uncomfortable, right? Because like it could go two ways. It could be, I kind of like that. I'd be like, I don't like that at all, you know. So I want to see what people's reactions are, you know.
Oh yeah,
I really do.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
You know, it's I aspire to be kind of like that social chameleon that can kind of like get along everywhere.
Yeah.
It's definitely a skill to have. And I definitely have some people that are going to be watching this that are going to be interested in what you've done for Insomniac and like EDC and all of that.
The last couple of years, I was chasing another dream, and that dream was to be a caretaker, large scale art builder, kind of a what I call as an experience creator. And then for those 2 years, I was able to get my flame effects license / special effects license in the state of Texas and in Nevada. And all of that kind of stemmed from my 11-year career of going to Burning Man.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
I know my aunt's gone to Burning Man, and she's talked, said a lot of good things about it. I don't know that she's been recently.
Yeah.
And what do you think? Is it still worth going, or has things changed to the point
I
where...
think no matter what happens, something will always change, right?
Yeah,
and that's the one thing about the city is that every year I've ever been, the city is never the same. But after Larry Harvey died, which is like the original founder of Burning Man, things will never be the same. Right, but I feel like 2012 was the first year I went, and that was the first change on how they did tickets, and that was like that lottery system year. But what I have noticed changed the most, I would be say one, the lack of fire. There for whatever
like controlled, like they don't let you fire it up.
No, I mean there's not a lot of flame effects anymore. They kind of buckled down a little bit more on safety wise, but also too, well, I don't know when it was. It was like 2014 or something like that. The guy that invented the LED light like won the Nobel Peace Prize or something like that. And then for whatever reason, after that, dude, all the art cars, all of the big fire pieces just turned into blinky lights.
Ugh.
And it's like, I love to look out on open playa and just see, you know, and then like also the burning of art. For whatever reason now, there's not that much art that gets burned. You know, and I don't know that.
Well, isn't that like, so in Guatemala and Antigua, you know, what they do is they take colored sawdust, and they will lay it down into like these beautiful patterns and these beautiful depictions, like shapes and all sorts of stuff. And part of the art, you know, is that it's temporary, that the wind is going to blow, and that it will eventually like leave. You know, as I'm not an artist, right?
Yeah.
Like I did computer science, I did information security, I did technology and stuff like that. The concept of building something that is meant to be blown away, something that is open for interpretation from the very beginning and then just departs. I mean, that's kind of like a magical relationship to have with some sort of work of art. Just burning art sounds kind of wild.
Well,
I mean, what's your take?
I mean, it's also too like the art of Burning Man, right? It becomes the third largest functioning city in Nevada for only 7 days out of the year, right?
Yeah.
And then a month later, 2 months later, you go back and there's literally no footprint. So it's like that's I think out of the 3 places I've visited the most, right, city-wise, Burning Man is by far the most magical, craziest, like, I like mind-blowing. I call them the transformational experiences or transformational festivals, because however you mindset that you went in there, something is going to snap, something is going to change, something will break, you'll be tested, and you know when you leave there that you have become some sort of a change. Some could be positive, some could be negative.
Oh man.
You know? Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So when's the last time you went to Burning Man?
I went to Burning Man this year.
You did?
I did.
Hell yeah. And
Yeah.
it was a good experience. You weren't worried about the rain?
I didn't. Here's
sort of like, because last year, 2 years ago?
2 years ago, we had the first natural disaster, you know, and it rained, and they had to, you know, basically stop Burning Man because the mud there in the playa it just sinks. It becomes quicksand. But I'll tell you what, this year, number 11 for me was by far the hardest, most traumatic,
Man.
most emotional roller coaster Burning Man that I've ever had. Some years are better than others. A lot of it depends on job. A lot depends if you're going to be a tourist or if you're going to be an artist or if you're just going to go build something and then call it a day. And I didn't want to go this year. I had a gut feeling that it wasn't going to be what I needed. And it's also hard that going to Burning Man, I had just quit both my jobs in Las Vegas and I was on this kind of like free floating path, and that coming back from Burning Man and not having something to kind of dive right back into, it can send you for a spiral, right? You're like, don't know what I'm doing. And like, if you are somebody that
So it's like post-festival blues kind of thing.
the decompression from Burning Man
Yeah.
is like, harder than coming down from drugs. For sure, because
yeah.
you're with this sense of community, right?
Right.
And you're living this free care spirit, lifestyle, no money, you're bargaining for this, and you're meeting beautiful people and being mind blown almost every minute that you're walking around. And then you come back to what they call the default world.
I think
right?
that's the sad part, right? Like anytime you do something really awesome or you're planning something really awesome, you spend weeks or months looking forward to it. You do all the logistics, all the planning.
You get there,
and
you
then
have the
suddenly
experience.
it's happening all around you, and then before you know it, time can't be stopped,
Nope.
and it ends. And that's something that has always been in the back of my mind whenever I travel, right? That like, hey, going to this place is great, but eventually, one way or another, you're going home.
Yeah, well, that's
at
kind
some
of
point.
that's kind of where I'm at right now. Is that my 30s were financially, emotionally, and physically traumatic, right? And I just started what I would call a 7-year walkabout. And I realized that in my 30s, I had been chasing money more than happiness, right? And then I chased happiness and found myself making more money than I had ever made, but it was the place that I did not want to be. And so I vowed that when I decided to leave, which was only 3 weeks ago, that I was going to start going to places that I have consecutively woken up happy. And so there's 2 or 3 places that have tickled my fancy in my 30s, and that's now where I'm going. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go wake up happy, and I'm just going to make it work. And that's the drive and the plane that I'm on now.
So San Pedro, La Laguna,
Yeah.
and Lago Atitlán, Guatemala
Yep.
is one of those.
That's one of them. And it was the one that was close enough.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Where's the other two though?
Now
I want to check them out.
The other two is Phu Quoc, Vietnam,
Phu Quoc.
which is a very small island that actually Vietnam just took re-ownership over. And it's a great place because you can actually ferry from Ho Chi Minh, pretty much, to there, and then if you want to hop on another ferry, you can go straight to Cambodia. And they have an international airport there.
So wait, say that one more
It's
time.
Phu Quoc.
Phu Quoc.
FHOQUOC. Phu Quoc.
Well, luckily you're in my WhatsApp, so I can text you again if I'm ever
so
in
there's
Vietnam side of the
there's
world.
Phu Quoc, and then just Costa Rica in general.
Okay.
I have a family.
Okay.
I have a family house in Costa Rica, and I have just had some very magical moments in that jungle. And when I go there, I find peace of mind. And I've just been accepted by a couple local villages there where I go, and it doesn't matter how long it's been, people know my name.
And you're still learning Spanish, right?
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to sit down and start my like daily routine yet, but here in the next week or two, or I might wait till after the holidays, that I want to start doing an hour and a half of Spanish every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was looking at some Spanish Academy classes. It looked like it was like $20 a day.
Is it okay?
For one-on-one? You sit down and you talk for about 4 hours at a time.
That's a lot.
It's a lot, but if you want to learn the
it's
grammar and have that feedback, because when I talk to locals, they're always very gracious. That that like they understand, we can understand each other. To a point, but if I'm getting a word wrong or a tense or like an article wrong, they're not gonna correct me.
Yeah, my biggest thing is vocabulary right now, and I need to download.
Vocabulary is also pretty easy though.
No, I know. Yeah, it is. Yeah. I find it best is that when you're on those long travels and you're going to be somewhere for long enough that you should learn the language, is get on the it's like Busar app, and I used to go to Brazil a lot, and I used to use that for just local phrases of like how do I ask for food, and stuff like that I already know here in Spanish.
Okay.
Yep.
So you said you're on a 7-year walkabout.
Yeah.
What's your plans?
My plan is to, one, like I said earlier, that I've started my master's degree, and I'm aspiring to be a military historian one day. And these next 7 years will be me teaching abroad. Whether that be, obviously it'll probably start with just teaching English, but I'd love to be able to get into some sort of like international business teaching of like, what stocks and bonds are, or, whatever the things is that they talk about in international business. And I would love to be able to like teach history. Because my military history that I've been studying is not just a deep dive into American military. It is a broad spectrum back from the antiquity period, like pre 1700, all the way up. Now, when I finish this master's degree, will be up until the 21st century.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've been looking at information from the war in Ukraine, the war in Azerbaijan, and things like that. And it seems like the state of warfare and the normalcy of warfare has shifted pretty fundamentally. I mean, you served, overseas in combat zones in 2008, but I feel like the world has definitely changed and adapted. Now it's drone warfare and intelligence and, counter information and hacking and things like that. I mean, what do you see, like, how do you feel about, like, the present of warfare and, like, the future of how things are going to be in the future?
I really believe is that we're already fighting World War III.
Oh, okay.
Like for sure. I mean, we're as our military industrial complex is that you see like us fighting against basically funding the war in Ukraine, right? And sending them our 777s. One of the guns that I used to shoot in combat has literally been shipped over to Ukraine. And what I find is that we're using proxy wars to really sustain, because if once the first nuclear bomb goes off, bro, we're done.
Oh, yeah.
Like in the first 24 minutes, if you're not somewhere where maybe here on the lake, you might have a chance. But if you're in a major city, dude, you're done. And it's like the same thing I believe with us funding Israel right now, right? They're fighting the war against Iran. Right, Iran has nuclear weapons. It's the same thing too, and it's like
Israel has a couple too themselves.
Yeah,
so.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, and that's like I in my brain, right? I think about what's gonna happen to perpetuate some sort of nuclear war, because I think what people in society probably don't realize is we live in a deterrence era.
Oh, that's
We're
for sure.
deterring the threat. However, that threat exists and it's going to exist forever. So 1,000 years from now, 10,000 years from now, the deterrence era can only last for so long.
Oh, I 100% agree.
That's what I used to do in my civilian contractor career with the Space Force.
Okay.
Was I worked on nuclear command and control systems.
Okay.
2 different systems. One was a satellite system and one was a terrestrial based system.
Interesting.
But it connects the president to the shooters to the generals to the fielded assets.
It's like
right?
the big red box, right?
Yeah. And that's what I used to do, right? Is I used to approve paperwork for new accounts for people that wanted access to the global missile defense situational awareness tool.
So did you have a top secret clearance?
I did get a TS, but I didn't get to put it into any use, because the truth is that top secret information is very expensive.
Yeah.
It's expensive for the government. It's expensive for the contractor. One of the cool things that I got to work on was a cost estimate for upgrading one of my systems from a secret to a top secret classification.
Okay.
So we're talking data transfers, data purging, cleaning up physical locations, building new physical locations, transitioning people who used to be working from home to working all in the office.
I got you.
And and it was the tune of $200 million or something.
Wow.
I'll never know how that shapes up. But it's difficult to say. Like, I do want to get like another IT contractor or something, for a podcast, so we can just go into detail on this stuff.
I bet, yeah.
So no reason to drag you through the weeds. I think the story will come out eventually.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
I had a secret clearance when I was in the military, which was nice.
Yeah, so that's where I got my secret clearance as well, was in the artillery. And just coming into it, they were like, yeah, we need to give you this secret clearance in case we order you to bomb a target that's next to a school.
Yeah.
Or next to some sensitive asset, you
Yep.
know, where collateral damage is
that
gonna
was
happen.
literally one of the
Because
reasons.
that's a secret the moment you pull that cord.
That was literally one of the reasons why I was chose, but to go on that secret mission in the Philippines.
Oh, yeah, because you had the clearance?
Yeah, well, I had the clearance too. It was what they called like I think it's a SMEAC, but it's like a system duties expert kind of mission. And I taught a Filipino Filipino artillery unit how to use my weapon system because I could not pull the string, go fire.
Oh, really?
No.
Because you don't know who's on the other end
No,
of it.
no, it wasn't that. It was we were training, and they really, I believe, at least the U.S. government or whoever, so they did like they pimped us out basically. You know what I'm saying? They were like, hey, we'll let you use this if we let you do this, you know, type thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, shit. There's a lot that I could say about the military and about, you know, the artillery and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, anytime that gun is going off, you know, you can use radar to trace where that round is coming from, and then you can do counterfire. Like
Yeah.
So you were definitely in the danger zone, man.
I did.
Those cannons don't move. Once you fire them, they go far. But they know where you are.
I did when I was in
no silence
when I
there.
was in Fallujah. That's what one of our main mission was.
Yeah.
Is that we did counter battery operations for indirect fire, and then also for all the grunts out operating. You know, and I would do that 2 weeks out of every month.
This conversation kind of got my mind churning on some current event. Actually, did you see that guy who like gunned down the United Healthcare CEO like last week? You didn't hear anything about that? No. Okay. There's no news out here in Lake Atitlán.
I completely like withdraw myself from those type of things.
Okay.
Like I'll find myself, you know, now that I've got the computer open again and stuff. Like I like to watch Newsy.
Right.
I don't know. And they have like a really good world broadcast. And I'm more concerned, or at least I focus my things on world events and not the bullshit that they're projecting in the United States, you know? Because most stuff in the United States is just Trump this and you know, Biden that, and it's like just more negative.
Yeah, he pardoned his son earlier.
Did he? Yeah, that's right. That's what I heard about.
Ago.
Yeah, right. When he was like some sort of a crackhead, right?
Or
a womanizer.
He was a
and
partier, man.
A partier. Yeah.
He was making mad money being on some board of some oil company. And crushing it.
I bet.
Yeah. Well, the perks of being the son of the president.
Yeah, no doubt. Right?
I guess.
No doubt. Right.
Oh man. Yeah, the government sucks, man. You're gonna find tons of counterculture people out here in San Pedro. You know.
I remember we were having a conversation earlier. You were asking me if I had any life hacks.
Oh, the life hacks, the travel hacks.
Yeah, the travel hacks.
I wanted to hear about your personal philosophy too, because you're gonna write a book.
You
got some things on you.
I definitely want to write a book. I'll start with like this one life hack, right?
Okay.
So I believe that you can use these 7 P's, right? There's 7 of them. And I believe you can use them for a multitude of things. You could use them for grocery shopping, let's say organizing a camping trip, or even buying a house. Right, and I believe if you follow these 7 P's, that
these are your own invention.
Well, I mean, it's been passed down obviously through trade.
Okay.
Right, and I believe that if you follow these 7 P's, that if you go into the mission, right, after I explain to them what they are, that you can hold your head up high, knowing that you went in there with the best possible outcome. Right.
Right.
And so those 7 P's are proper planning prevents piss poor performance. Right? And then I felt like after I learned those the first time a very hard way, that they were distilled in me. And I've literally lived my life almost daily by trying to do that, you know? And it really first kind of dawned on me when I started a festival career and going to Burning Man, right? And it's like, hey, have water, have snacks, have a change of underwear, you know, have the proper substances that get you to the right plane that you need to be, right?
Yeah,
and
you
it's
need
just
some Narcan too.
Yeah, you know, it's just knowing that like you're setting yourself up for the best possible outcome, and that knowing that you went in there with 100% like I'm going to achieve this, and I have everything that is going to help me strive to get there, you know. And I've passed that along to a lot of people, and if for whatever reason for me it has made my life easier.
Oh, absolutely.
That's for sure. Yeah.
So I do the prior planning.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I do that.
Yeah.
I do that subconsciously.
Uh-huh.
Just because that's what you got to do when
Yeah,
you're making
yeah.
your way through life.
I agree.
However, I really dislike actual plans.
Oh.
Actual plans.
I'm not
no
really.
thank
I'm
you.
definitely a go with the flow. They're like, hey,
Yeah.
we're gonna go here,
No.
but like, let's end up everywhere.
Yeah. It sounds kind of like new age or cringy or hippie or whatever, but I just follow the vibes.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what I'm gonna be feeling. When once we get there, once I gotta walk up the hill or walk down the hill or eat that piece of fish or not.
Yeah.
So I'll plan for a lot of different possibilities. Mm-hmm. But as far as like actually planning out where I'm gonna go and what I'm gonna do, I mean that's something that I feel. Man, that's kind of like the biggest difference between the casual backpacker that's just kind of meandering through the world.
Yeah.
Versus I meet so many people, just at hostels and at bars here. They're like, yeah, we have 2 days in Lake Atitlán, and then we're gonna leave Guatemala in like a week, and we're gonna do all these things, and these people are seeing like whole regions in like a single day.
Well,
They get
you
the
have to
guided tour,
remember, not
they get
everybody's as fortunate as us right now.
Yeah.
And you know what? Here's the thing. Even when I do meet those people, I'm at least happy.
They're on turbo.
No, they're on turbo, but I'm at least
Yeah.
happy that they've made the choice.
Yeah.
Because like someone was like, "Hey, let's go on a week-long vacation." I'm like, "We're just going to one place, right?" I'm not staying a night here, staying a night here, staying a night here. Like just it's.
Oh
I'm
every
just,
day packing up the backpack and finding transportation. I think I've been in Lake Atitlán for like 8-9 days or something.
Yeah.
I've been here, like the hostel has rotated out completely 3 times in that span of time.
Yeah.
And people are like, so how long you been here? And I
gonna,
feel like
I'm going to close those windows right now because it's like.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, those things are. Oh, that's right. It's 7 o'clock or something.
Well, it's like 5:30ish right now. So yeah.
All right. Ready? Cut. All right. So, what is your book going to be about?
So, as you can tell, I think I've lived a multitude of lives, right? So I guess it's a memoir / autobiography, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm calling it the first chapter of my life. And it's from the age of 6 to 36. And over the course of that time, I've realized I've been living my life in 7-year cycles. And almost every 7 years, I have got to the point to whatever career I'm in or whatever I've been doing that I'm like, you know what? This is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I've kind of drastically shifted and drastically changed. And I always believe that like at the end of that 7-year cycle, like hopefully I've learned, I've fallen down, I've gotten up, I may have hit rock bottom here or there, but like I try to take all of the good things that I've learned and the lessons that I've had into the next chapter or into the next cycle of my life. And I plan on writing about the military career. I plan on writing about my BMX, and then my dad was a little bit of a Rolling Stone in the younger years, and I'd like to speak about him. And then now I consider, I went 10 years no car, house, or apartment. I did seasonal work, whether it was the Marine Corps, oil and gas. I grew cannabis for 5 years, and then during that time, my Burning Man career, and I've, by the time I turn 40, I'll be in my 40th country. That's the plan, And then I think there'll be like some short stories between the ages of like 36 to 38, because that was a really wild time in my life, and I was like living the entertainment lifestyle in like Saudi Arabia, Amsterdam, like working at the Formula One track and all that stuff.
You were doing that?
Yeah, I was doing all that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then the next chapter, my second chapter of my life, will be like from the age of like 38 to 78. Yeah, something along the lines of that. The book will be called WWJD. So what would Jadd do?
What would Jadd do?
Yeah. So instead of what would Jesus do? So when you pull it up, there'll be 2 covers, right? And one will be Jesus on the cross, right? And we'll be like, wow, we know how that dude died. But then it's going to be me kind of like bent over on a Cadillac, with 2 beautiful women blowing substances into my ass. And I'll be going like this, and they're going to be like, how did this dude get on a Cadillac? Bent over with women blowing drugs into his ass. And they're going to be like, well, Let's buy that one
But is
too.
that the meaning of life? Is that what makes the world go round?
What's
for you?
that? Drugs?
I'm sure.
Oh
drugs.
no, I don't believe that at all. It's the audacity of it.
The audacity.
The audacity of it. It's the stigma of like, oh, and it doesn't even have to be drugs. For all you know, it could be a pixie stick. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just the wow factor, and my whole life has been the wow factor. And I like to.
But do you do it for yourself, or
What's that?
Do you do it for the crowd? Do you do it for yourself, or?
I'm a jester at heart, man.
Okay.
I really am. I like to bring out smiles and cries. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm here to interject laughter, confusion, right? And I believe that when you're not necessarily playing that role, but you really get to understand people's like conscious ability, and then their ability to want to understand, or maybe don't understand, but then also like, hey, I want to learn.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I believe that's what the problem in the United States is, the stagnantness of it, right? Is everybody's following this normal drive to work and this normal drive home.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I have to have the new car every year. I have to have the new iPhone, right? We don't need those things. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what traveling brings out, is because it's like you said, you're living out of a backpack, and you really learned to understand that there are really certain necessities that you need in life to really achieve happiness. And it's not the grand apartment, and it's like knowing that I have a place to sleep, and I'm going to wake up and I'm going to have a decent meal, and hey, a pretty girl might kiss me today.
Oh yeah. I think on my journeys, I hope that I one day make it out to like India, and I live at the monastery.
That I want to do the same thing. I want to do like a 6 month no speaking, and I want to like find that zen.
Oh yeah, dude. I've been in the United States for so long at this point. Like I went to Antigua, right, and it's kind of a polished place. It's a tourist town. It's got a lot of money coming through.
It does, for sure.
And then I came to San Pedro, and I was walking around the streets with my buddies, some friends that I made at the hostel, and I was like, man, this place is kind of rough around the edges, like everything's made out of cement bricks and freaking sheet metal and stuff, and they're like, no, this is actually pretty nice.
Yeah.
And these guys, have been traveling all over the world, all over Latin America.
Yeah.
And I just like, I do some self-reflection. I'm like, dang. I think my frame of reference is still very like United States, very westernized.
Yeah.
And then when I came to the hostel, right, I felt like not having a hot shower was really screwing with my like mental state. I think when I first came over here, I was like, there's no hot water at the building. You figure out how to use the shocker shower.
Yeah.
You figure out, how to get that warm water on you, and things feel better. But I think I'm just kind of starting this journey. I think I'm on week 3 of 3 years. Who knows?
Really?
However long that I can make it, and I look forward to disconnecting myself from that consumerism mentality, that need for the fast internet and all these things. Like I used to, I don't know, be addicted to video games. Like I would play video games like at least 3 or 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
And maybe that's like low standard for addiction for some people, but for me that felt like a lot. And haven't really played video games for 3 weeks. Don't miss it. I used to be toking on the vape all the time.
Yeah.
Gone.
It's good.
I'm trying to like change my life and be more clean. I think traveling brings out a lot of good things. And I really, really wish, more people had the chance. And
well, I think it's beautiful that you're doing a podcast about meeting people on your dusty road, right?
Yeah.
It's expiring, and like I hope you keep choosing fucking very delightful people that are colorful peacocks in whatever way that you see them, because hopefully this does go viral, and people get an opportunity to see and meet people that have decided to give up on the normalcy of society, right, and go out and seek out life. Because like I believe once you stop moving or stop learning, you start dying, right? And I believe that throughout my whole life, the travel bug, once you eat it, you're like almost destined to seek adventure and experience life in almost every climb that you can.
Oh, dude, the travel bug bit me here 10 years ago in Guatemala.
Yeah.
I met people that motorcycled across Africa. I met, a guy from Colombia that was traveling with a single set of clothes. Yeah. I've met so many really inspiring people here. And I wasn't even staying at hostels. I was just meeting these people, on shuttle vans. On buses and stuff. And so I was just like real casual, and it's like crazy, right? It's like you can have like this deep connection with somebody you
For
can
only
be
2 days,
completely
you know?
ingrained.
Yeah.
Like these people just become part of your soul,
Yeah.
and then you might add each other on Instagram, right? But then you wave and you say goodbye, and that's it. Like that little piece of you just walks out of your life,
Well,
maybe never to be seen
There's
again.
one thing that I have done since I first started backpacking, is that I believe if I met you for 1 day, 1 week, or 1 month, and you had some sort of a impact on my travel or adventure, I'm that type of person, you know. But I still use the Facebook. Facebook is like is worldwide, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And I have so many friends on there that like I'll see you casually. Oh, hey, I'm flying to Hawaii next week, and I'm like, I got an airport pickup for you, right? And I believe that backpacking community is that we used to have this thing. The first hostel/bar I worked at was as a backpacking community, you're never allowed to say the word mine. You have to spell it. And every time you said, no, that's mine, because in a community, it's everybody's. You have to do 15 push-ups.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
military mind coming back out.
Well, no, there was just a tradition of things, because nothing was ever yours, right? You shared everything. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yes, sir. Right. So we're back after a quick break. Had to turn on some lights. The sun is setting over here. It was a beautiful, beautiful shade of pink and purple and wonderful.
Is, right? Yeah. Just we decided to have one of the local beers here, the Bras. They're also one of the cheapest, right? I think it's cheaper than water.
Yeah?
Cheers, sir.
There's like some famous quote. Water has bacteria. Alcohol is... Fuck. No, I can't remember.
No, I don't know if I've heard that one. No? No. I always like, here you go, well, cheers.
Cheers, brother.
Yeah, cheers to you, cheers to me, cheers to great company.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah, dude. I've been hanging out with a bartender the last couple of days, so he's always had a different cheers.
Yeah.
You know?
What bartender? From where?
He lived in Denver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That was Dan. He was the last guy on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where did you videotape him at?
At Salina, where we met.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. There was a nice little park bench with some swings. And
no, yeah. I think that's where we met.
Yeah,
right
around there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Salina's a great place. I mean, hostels are great because like the doors are open and people can just wander in. Usually, like not great for security, but certainly it's a good time for people looking to.
Well, I've noticed now. I think the first Salina I ever stepped foot in was the one in Antigua, and that was 7 years ago. And now I've traveled, mostly through Central America, and they have them everywhere now.
Oh yeah,
they have them like almost. I'm not saying
I never heard of them before this trip, but apparently they're everywhere.
Oh, but what it is that the prices are, I'd say, doubled.
Yeah.
From your normal hostel.
Well, it's when you double $5, it's suddenly $10. My God.
Yeah. But I've noticed that like there's a really nice Salina in Panachel, right? And they, I think it caters to the more like just got out of university, like, hey, I have a remote job.
That's what it's for.
Yeah,
that's the remote worker hostel. Because they claim to have fast internet, though my experience has told me they don't.
It's definitely not. I wouldn't say it's your party hostel. They're definitely not doing pub crawls out of Salina.
Oh, well, they were. They were in Antigua,
they were, right? Yeah.
I think that's what people go to hostels for, right? Like it's got your built-in concierge. So you go to a hostel, right? You may not get much space for your stuff. You may just have a little lockbox for your sensitive items.
Yeah.
But, you get friends, you get interesting stories.
Yep, you get a good time.
Usually there's like a bar, and, the people that run the hostels, they're organizing local tours. They're getting people connected with the community and like places to go, places to see, what to do for cheap or for free.
It's always a vibe.
Oh yeah, there's so many people that I talk to. I think I'm like one of the only people I know even that I haven't met in a hostel that actually goes to hostels. Like everybody else is like, have you seen that Quentin Tarantino movie about hostels? Like that's like I get that like 50% of the time even.
That's that Western mentality of scare tactic.
I know.
And it's sad. It's like I tell people like, what if you'd never been on an airplane and your best friend went on a flight? And she was like, it was the worst turbulence ever. The cruise control dropped. We dropped 10,000 feet. The mast came down. And then you took that person's experience and was like, nope, I'm never going to get on a plane just because my one friend had a terrible experience, And that's what I try to tell people, like, like going to Rio. right? There are a lot of like horror stories about going to Rio, right? Or going to, yeah, I don't know, any third world country, right? Even when you mentioned I'm going to Guatemala, right? And it's like, I don't ever take somebody's personal experience. I'll put it in a lockbox and be like, oh, hey, like maybe I shouldn't be out late at night walking the streets in this town because you're making yourself more of a
target,
of a target, right? You know, but I believe it's also how I judge people. I don't judge somebody by their country. I judge them by the person that they are. Right. You know, and it's like, I think that stigma in the States is the fear mongering of like, don't ever leave, that something terrible could happen. Like, don't worry, we have the beaches, we have the desert, we have the mountains, you know?
It's hard to pin down exactly what it is that makes people from the States so hard to focus.
I have a theory. My theory is, especially in our generation, you know, I'd say like 80s babies, right? Maybe 70s, is the introduction of federal student aid. Okay.
This is a crazy tie-in. I'm perplexed.
Right. So what I believe is that in other countries, school is paid for. Right.
Oh, yeah.
In our country, it's like if you did, you know, at least when we were going out of high school, if you didn't go to college and you didn't get that degree, you would never be able to get that job that's going to buy you the white picket fence, right?
I bought into that story.
So now you look at people that are even our age or people that are getting out of college, they're $175,000 in debt. They're $250,000 in debt. And now they have this piece of paper, but it's not landing them the career that is affording them to afford the education that the government just paid for, right? So imagine getting out of high school or getting out of college now, or you might still have this amount of student loan debt, but imagine $800 on top of your insurance, your car payment, your apartment, your food, your cell phone and all that. Where's the money to travel? Where's the money to get out of the country? So it's like you bought into this theory and now you're like, you know what? I'm so fucking in debt and stuck that I can't go afford the liberties that other people have.
Oh, yeah. I think society pushes people towards college, and I think AI is going to destroy that path for people. It's going to destroy that path worldwide. Don't know how that's going to affect everyone.
Well, it's funny, you know, I just started my master's degree, and this is the first time I've been back in school since like AI has really like hit the street. Right. And there was a whole thing, a dissertation about what I was allowed to use AI for. Ooh. Oh, and it's like, it's almost like it's considered plagiarism now.
Oh, it should be.
Oh no, you know, like the only stuff I use AI for would be like, hey, build me an outline to write a 1,000-page essay or a 1,000-word essay on the Civil War.
You know what's funny? In Space Force or whatever, I was writing papers and white papers like crazy, and AI was just so freaking useful. You had to be careful not to use anything official use only information, right? Obviously nothing secret, but you know, I could use it to write user stories. I could gen up so much material in such a short amount of time. It like put my productivity through the moon. Yeah. And tons of people are still very hesitant to even try it or use it. But as a student, man, I'd say use it as far as you possibly can.
Yeah,
Don't use it to write your papers, but people are using it as a therapist. People are using it to draw and create. I use it to create the logo for this podcast. I mean, and I thought it came out great.
Yeah,
you know? Thank God.
No, it's crazy. I've done that in a marketing like powwow about a new brand that we were trying to launch in Vegas, and it was just like put it all in, and then it just like generated this like beautiful image of like everything that you wanted in it. You know? Oh yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it'll change the world for sure.
Yeah. I think it already has, you know. I mean, did Elon get put on the cabinet for anything yet?
Oh yeah, dude. He's the head of Doge, Department of Government Efficiency. Doge, man. That meme coin?
Yeah.
Dude, I should have bought Doge, man.
I had bought Doge and XRP, and
XRP's heading to $2.
I know, dude. And then when I lost my crypto account, I'm just done.
Oh man, dude.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Watch out for those hackers and scammers out there, folks. They're on the prowl.
Yeah. Technology's solid, but if you keep it in like a crappy wallet, it's gonna get breached.
Yeah. Man. Forget Coinbase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, what else were we speaking about here? You wanted to
tell me about your travels, man. Where have you been?
So let's see here. I've been to 37 countries now. Mm-hmm.
40 by 40.
Yeah, 40 by 40. I've done a lot of the Middle East. You know, Iraq.
What's your favorite part of it? Because in Iraq, man, you were there as a soldier.
Yeah, so the places I had been out of the military would be Saudi Arabia. I spent a handful of months in Dubai, and then I've been to Kuwait again, and I believe that's it right now.
Kuwait is like a pain in the butt, I hear.
I mean, it's
I knew tons of people that were like deployed there.
Yeah, I'm glad I never got
just go there to rot.
I'm glad I never got stuck in Kuwait.
Yeah, dude. People are there for years.
Yeah.
There's like nothing to do really.
And then
they get really good at WoW. Yeah. They get good at.
And then like some of my favorite countries, I'd say that hold a special place in my heart would be the majority of Southeast Asia. Like that's where I first went to go backpacking when I was out of the military. That's kind of where the rebirth of my life started.
I want to go over there. EDC Thailand.
Yep.
They're having like
2025.
The first EDC Thailand is happening. And I think it would be like a great experience to go. I think it's happening in February.
It's in Phuket.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the place that you were recommending?
No.
Okay.
I don't like Phuket at all. Phuket is the Las Vegas of Thailand.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you're talking.
Well, I can see why they put EDC there.
You're talking like Ladyboy Central. You're talking nightclub after nightclub after nightclub, and it is just infested with any tourist thing that you could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
I've stayed there only a handful of days. It's a good place to fly into. Right, if you're trying to bypass Bangkok and start your Thailand with jumping from island to island, right? Because it's a good jump off point. But northern Thailand has always stolen my heart. Chiang Mai, Pai, Rai, and all those places.
Dang, these places sound insane just from the names.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chiang Mai is like this. It's got this old battle fort wall that basically borders the center of the town, and it also has a moat that goes around it. And if you could ever make it to Thailand around the middle of April, they have this beautiful water festival that's almost the Thai New Year. It's called Songkran, right? And in Chiang Mai, it's a 4-day water festival.
See, this is what I want to use AI for. I want to use AI to like plan my travels around the world. I want to be like, all right, AI. You know, where is the biggest and the best places to go? What's the annual rotation? Like, where should I be going?
Yeah.
You know, because I think hostels are really great because you can just like socialize with people and be like, so what should I see?
Where did you just come from? What
you know, where are we going?
Yeah.
Where are you coming from? You know, what's good where you live, you know?
Yeah.
And you can like, I don't really need to pull out my phone, right? So when I go to Flores in a couple of days, I was talking to this girl that is also going towards that area, and she was telling me about Blue Crater, they call it.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a cenote, and you can like scuba dive there, and it's like in the jungle, and it's this beautiful like spring water, you know. And it's a place, you know, that she was showing me some pictures of. It looks pretty awesome.
This is here in Guatemala.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, cool.
Dude, Guatemala is a big place. Apparently they have like 30 different states.
Really?
Yeah, there's tons of provinces or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
And I think Atitlán is new. I also want to go to the Pacific Side Ocean because there's some good surfing communities out there.
Yeah.
And man, I'm just hungering for a beach because when I'm in Africa, I'm not going to see the ocean or the beach for like 3 months or something.
Are you where do you plan on going in Africa? Are you going to like do the middle countries, or are you going to do South Africa, Tanzania? I mean, those are all beaches.
Uganda. So Uganda's landlocked. I'm going to be there for at least a month.
Kenya?
Volunteer. Yeah, I will hit Kenya.
Yeah.
For sure. So in Uganda, I'm going to be spending a month with my best friend. We're going to be volunteering in a hospital.
Okay.
And I'm going to be doing IT side assistance.
Okay.
And I might teach like a couple of classes to some locals or some kids
That's
about
cool.
IT careers and things like that. I also might be building some houses. You
That's
know,
nice.
It's kind of open ended. You know, a month is kind of like the minimum amount of time. I might spend longer. It kind of depends on, because I really do kind of like, I quit my job in June. And I, you know, have been kind of lounging and taking things at my own pace for a while. But I think, you know, I still want to give back to the world, and I think volunteering is a great way to do it.
Yeah, I'm about to start volunteering, I think, in January for my first sort of like educational volunteering, and started going to just like learn to start playing with little kids and like how to grasp their attention, and also like how long their attention spans are. That's kind of my next path right now. Is the next 7 years will be my educational time, and then I think this will be the end all career. Right, that I'll probably work on until my 60s, and I want to mold young minds, and I want to teach a part of history that I served in.
Okay.
Yeah,
man, it's crazy, man. We were at war for like 25 years or something. Like you guys,
dude, we've been at war, bro, since World War II.
Oh yeah, you're the history expert.
You realize, it was first it was the Korean War, then it was the Vietnam War. Right, and then after that, there was the Cuban Missile Crisis and the Cold War. Okay, and then from that point on, when Reagan came into office, there were no wars, so it was the war on drugs.
Right.
Yes. And then that's when we're funneling stuff with the Costanistas in Nicaragua and all that stuff.
It's funny how closely this ties back to 1984, right? You haven't read the book, but some viewers probably have. And a principle of that book was that the government was constantly at war.
It's the military-industrial complex.
Yeah, that's how they controlled society, the economy, and the people, right?
Yep.
Like, man, dude, that was, I remember I went to basic training, right? And we were singing these marching songs about killing people and getting killed. And I remember, after you've been in that environment for months and months, you kind of get indoctrinated that like, oh yeah, I'm just a flesh bag, Eventually they'll be throwing me in the back of some truck and flying me, to a grave.
Well, hopefully you don't have that too much on your mind,
I mean, when I was 19, going through that, impressionable, things like that.
Well,
but I mean,
more malleable,
right?
Right,
But I mean, what do you think about the government sending all these young people in to fight wars for the rich and the powerful?
I don't think it's a government. I think it's the way war's been since the dawn of time. You know what I'm saying? It's also Tuesday. You're really in your best physical peak between 19 and 25, 28, depending on what sex you are, and you're also the most impressionable, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you can kind of like, you haven't necessarily learned too much yet, right? You probably haven't traveled to see what other societies and how other people live their life on a day-to-day basis. And then what they do is they just distill these things into you, and they make it so much that it's muscle memory.
It's just automatic.
So when you get put in that,
reload.
When you get put in that climb and that you're in that state where I don't know what's going on, and then it's just like constant, like you fall back into that training mindset,
Oh yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I was like, I couldn't imagine being in the military in a garrison type. Type aspect, and you're just literally training to go train, not knowing if you'll ever be able to like snap that on in a real life situation. And that's how it was for me after coming back from Iraq the first time. I was like, I don't want to train anymore. I just want to go to war.
Right.
And it wasn't necessarily about going to kill people. It was about like watching my brother to the left and right of me.
Right.
And the money's better.
I remember one of my instructors was talking about his first time on patrol in Iraq, and there's a big vehicle going by. But yeah, they as soon as he was about to leave the wire, they're like, all right, now here's your hand grenades.
Yeah.
And he just gives him a bunch of hand grenades.
Yep.
And then he was coming back from the wire, and he was like trying to turn the hand grenades back in, and they were like, no, those are your hand grenades.
They're yours now.
Yeah, and he was just like, wait a minute, you're gonna give me 10 hand grenades every time I leave the fence?
Yeah.
I never came back with another hand grenade. I used every single fucking one of them, and it's like, oh boy, and what was he, 19 at the time, 20, and that's just it's crazy, man. Putting kids into those situations. What's crazy, right, is I was in a very different situation from just like an IT perspective. Like I was a system admin. Like I could have just deleted the user database. There was no backup.
Yeah.
And and that means nobody at the White House was gonna log in. Nobody on Air Force One. Nobody else like anywhere in the world would have logged in for at least like a week.
Wow.
Because there was no backup. There was no user accountability. And that's just shit that people talk about shadow government. And, like, shadow IT and all that. Dude, the amount of privilege, like hand grenades, obviously you can kill a lot of people with those. Yeah. But like the kind of power they just delegate to the system admin, behind the desk, like it's crazy what I could have done,
Yeah.
And that's just the state of the world. But yeah, obviously, man, it sounds like you went through quite a bit of shit. you know, in your
Yeah, well, I
performance.
tell people I've either fought, fucked, or killed on 6 continents. I'll let you decide which ones.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Well,
All right.
so when I first started traveling, right, I did all of Southeast Asia, Central America, and then ended my backpacking a year at Burning Man. And I think it was the first time, like, I was 25, out of the military, and, you know, backpacking through Thailand and Laos and Cambodia. At that time, I was meeting a lot of, like, 19-year-olds. And people in Europe and other countries, they do a gap year,
Yeah.
right? And
Oh, yeah,
I never knew what a
Israeli
gap year
and
was, and
stuff,
I was
yeah.
like, wow, that's so like authentic to be
Yeah.
able to do a gap year before you go to college to be able to experience life a little bit.
Make a decision before you commit on a path.
And then I tell people, oh, you know, like I just got out of the military, and their first question is always, have you ever killed anybody?
Oh,
and,
man.
And I'm like, that's such like the fucking bottom of the barrel question that you want to ask somebody that just had to go to war. And after a couple times, and like I kind of figured out like how do I assess this question? How do I make this person feel how I do as soon as you ask me? And I usually look at them right in their eyes and I go, are your parents dead? And it's kind of like wow, like maybe that's a very touchy subject, or maybe I didn't have a dad, or maybe whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And then they think, oh yeah, maybe I kind of understand. Maybe I shouldn't have started with that question. And then right as they think I'm going to walk away, then I turn around and I kind of whisper just quietly, I've either fought, fucked, or killed in 6 continents. I'll let you decide which ones. And I go like this.
The jester comes out.
Yeah,
Dude.
you know.
Dude, people in the military have the best sense of humor, and I think that like just the crappy lives that they have to lead, you know,
Yeah.
just create that unique sense of humor. Some of the funniest, most fucked up people in the world are in the military.
Oh yeah, because I tell people that your words will never hurt me.
Oh, definitely.
There's not anything that you could say to me that has been said to me 10 times worse.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I think that comes with that finding that balance. Because when I got out of the military, I vowed to never carry guns anymore.
Oh, me too.
And I don't fight. You know.
Oh, dude, I'm
fight.
a total pacifist.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many different ways to solve your problems, and as somebody who comes from like an IT security perspective, prevention is what you want, not reaction. Prevent. Don't try and fight.
I
Prevent.
believe in de-escalating situations
Right.
instead of escalating.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
that's like when somebody comes and yells at you, and you're like, you know what?
Yeah.
Instead of me yelling louder than you, I'm just gonna talk 7 more decibels lower, and people are like, whoa. That's like not what I was looking for right now, you know,
Yeah.
because once some person yells and it's this and it's this and it's this, and then you're just escalating a situation that could have very, very well never
Oh
happened.
yeah, but you know, when you use violence to solve problems for as long as, you know, one does in the military,
Yeah.
right? That, I mean, you realize that other people maybe don't have a military background. They're just playing.
Oh, yeah.
They don't know how quickly things can go south.
No.
And you got the training to put them in the ground. But
Yeah,
then you don't.
I'm just all about leg sweeps and knees to the sternum.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, that's it, bro.
I loved military combatives, right? Because they threw you into the ring with somebody and
Yeah.
they said, all right, you know, theoretically your enemy is going to be punching you and they're going to be biting your shit and they're going to be trying to cause as much pain as possible.
Yeah.
But we're not going to teach you any of that.
No.
Because we're going to teach you how to kill them.
Yeah.
We're going to teach you how to break
We're
their bones.
going to teach you how to
and
incapacitate.
and they're going to be out.
Yeah.
And they're going to fight you with whatever they got. But you as a soldier, you know that no amount of pain is ever going to make you capitulate.
I agree.
Because pain does not stop somebody in a life or death struggle.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
You know, and you can't win, you know, inflicting pain. You actually you have to be strategic about it. So that means kicks to the legs and to the sternum.
The eye gouge. That's what I was talking
Dude, the throat punch.
Yeah.
Dude, I could kill somebody. It's
Yeah,
like
oh,
that,
yeah.
dude. And people don't think about this stuff.
I'm just going to crush your esophagus real quick.
Yeah, I'll just crush your esophagus. That's the crazy shit about. That's how you know you're watching like a good action movie. Or something.
Yeah.
You know, they don't do this long drawn out fight sequence. Nah, it's over pretty quick.
In your travels, have you ever somebody try to rob you?
It's happened once. I talked about it on the last episode.
Did you?
But it's crazy. Like when you go into that fight mode, time slows down.
Yeah.
Like, everything is just like. It's like you're moving at 1 million frames a second.
I believe that, yeah.
You know, and you get that intuition that kicks in, and suddenly you're just freaking. I don't know. How about you? Have you ever?
I was in San Juan de Sur. No, not San Juan. That's Nicaragua. I was in. There's this chain of islands down in Panama. like right over the border from Costa Rica. I can't remember the chain of islands right now. But I was out walking late at night, right? I was like coming back from the bar, and that area is kind of seedy, right? And some dude tried to come up to me on a bicycle. Right, and he was clearly wasted, and I was definitely not two sheets to the wind. And he tried to reach into my back pocket.
This drunk guy.
Just drunk guy, but
Oh,
he was definitely a local, right? You know,
Right.
and I looked at him and laughed. And
It is funny.
I looked at him and laughed and noticed that like he was kind of on his tippy toes and he was on a road bike, and I
man.
just kicked the bike over, and he
Yeah.
just fell
Dumbass.
over like this, you know. And then one other time in Rio.
Dude, I hear Brazil is a fucking crazy place.
Well, so the funny thing about Brazil is that like if you go to Brazil, no matter what your skin color is, you could be light skinned brown and look like a Brazilian Portuguese. But if you don't speak Portuguese, you're a gringo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's like definitely some of those places that like I tell people don't wear rings. Don't wear the fancy watch. Don't wear the necklace, because you are a target, right? And they really some places don't have any disregard for tourism.
Yeah.
I've been going down to Brazil off and on. I did for a good 5 or 6 years. I had a Brazilian lover for a while, and the last time I was there was during the World Cup,
Okay.
2014. Yeah.
Crazy time from what I hear. The city was packed.
Dude, it was gnarly. I was supposed to be there for 3 weeks and then got stuck for 8 weeks.
I saw some pictures of Rio from like the sky. It's like bigger than most countries.
Dude, it is.
The city is like never ending.
Going up to the Flying Christ or whatever, I can't remember the actual name of it, is one of the best views I've seen in my life.
Okay.
For sure.
Damn.
Like,
Well, that's the iconic like photo location.
dude, it is.
so-
It is just like beautiful sugar loaves and like the blue water, and it's just and man, Brazilian women are something else, dude.
It's cut from a different cloth.
Well, I realized after the second time I gone down there that there are really no red-bearded gingers down there.
Oh, yeah,
and I
dude.
learned that I was exotic. So I was like, "This is the best of both worlds, right?" You know, yeah.
And you got
Yeah.
that good sense of humor.
Oh, yeah, for
Women
sure.
Love that.
For
so.
sure.
But do you know any Portuguese?
Yeah, oi tudo bem, como vai você? Which is, hello, how are you doing? You know.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they would say tudo bom, and you say tudo bem, tudo vo, and then like there's like safadinha, which is like a word for like, oh, you're a naughty boy, you know? You're a crazy boy, you know.
That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
like gustosa is like, oh, you're so beautiful, like, oh, you know, like I'm like in love with you type thing, you know.
Oh, okay.
But I
Tell them what they want to hear.
Yeah,
man.
I
You
know,
only
right?
do, like 5 phrases. The music's loud enough. I mean, it might work.
But you know, the thing too is that I realized after going to Brazil off and on is that Brazilian men are very jealous. They're very like, this is my girl. And then if you leave your girl unattended, like,
sweet
bro,
man.
they're flocking, right? You know, and it was funny. The first time I met the Brazilian lover I had, I waited almost 3.5 days to kiss her. And then when I finally kissed her, she looked at me.
Oh, you're bashful.
Yeah, well, I met her in Ibiza, and I was on a 2-week furlough from Afghanistan.
Right.
And so I hadn't been with anybody in 7 or 8 months. You know, I just got out of a
You're used to seeing dudes.
yeah,
There you
right.
go.
Yeah, and then so I
yeah.
meet this beautiful woman, and I wait 3.5 days, and then she looks over after I kiss her, and she goes, "Ah, "I thought you were gay."
Oh,
and
man.
then like, at that point on, I was like, "Be more assertive."
Oh yeah,
right.
Different
You know,
cultures.
Yeah.
Man. They expect you to move quick. There's like some sort of there's a power to it for sure.
Oh,
some
no,
sort
yeah.
of skill that you gotta.
There
accrue.
is.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can't say Portuguese is on my list of languages, but
By
I
far
might pick up a
the
little
most sexiest language to have whispered in your ear.
really,
I really believe
Not
it.
French.
No, the French is kind
okay,
of like
alright.
rough and you know, like that.
yeah.
I had a French lover for a month when I was in Thailand. Yeah, I don't know. I believe in, you know, you find and meet beautiful people like along your dusty paths, and I truly feel that my next ex-wife, you know, will
Do you have an ex-wife?
I have one. Yeah.
Oh man,
It's just a saying.
Hidden lore. I didn't hear
They're
about
like
this one
they're like, how many times have you been married? I'm like, only once. But like, I believe that I'll meet her on a dusty road somewhere in a faraway land, because I mean, how many people really do you know in the States that can kind of pick up and leave and that dictate their own terms of their life. It's
Like relationship wise?
well, I mean, just like, hey, I want to go here for a month.
Oh,
or,
yeah,
I want to go live a different lifestyle, and I'm not so worried about having the golden retriever in the house.
Yeah, I mean, I think people like collect commitments and they get tied down to things, and I think there's some legitimacy to their being tied down, but there's also some things that are just like willfully chosen. And
Yeah,
like
no, for sure.
Kind of just like psychologically they're tied down. But it was definitely very surreal for me to quit my job and start traveling, because I felt like I had some of those tie downs. I avoided having a dog or a cat.
Yeah.
I avoided like serious relationships and having kids and doing all this so I could set myself up so that I could travel. But this has been like a 10-year goal. This takes a lot of time. This didn't happen out of the blue. I knew what I wanted to do.
I have been thinking about following this dream for, I think since I was 21, and then I think at 30 or 31, I set the intention about 7 years ago that I was gonna get 7 years of working in the States and trying to not live off my disability. Right, I get a disability pension from the military, and then I told myself if after 7 years I'm still living off my disability and I haven't found the dream job that's gonna afford me the pretty house and like the city that I want to live in, that I was gonna pack up and leave leave and go start this teaching career abroad, so.
Well, I think you're going to bring a lot of, happiness to a lot of people. I think being a teacher is one of the true ways that you can impact society, right? You defend civilization and democracy as a soldier. You can do what I did, doing contracting for national security systems.
Yeah.
But actually, being a doctor and helping individuals, or being a therapist, or being a teacher, like you can actually see the outputs and the goodness like right in front of your face.
Yeah, and
I feel like that's something that I've missed in my career for the last 10 years.
That was kind of me too. I was like, after having taken so many lives, I was like, I want to start giving back and inspiring lives.
Exactly.
That's kind of the thing is too. It's good, healthy purpose.
Right. When you're a Lockheed Martin engineer or something, I'm not the guy taking the lives. But I definitely know what side of the fence I'm on. I'm
for sure.
The shooting end of the gun.
For sure. Sure.
I'm not pulling the trigger myself, but the whole system collapses without people filling the positions that I fill.
Yep. I mean, there's just one small piece of the staircase.
Yeah, it's a giant machine of death.
Yeah,
it's a crazy fucking world.
I've been fortunate enough now that in my travels to the United States and Burning Man, I've actually met the man that created the type of steel that goes in the Humvees and the MRAPs that created the V hull. I met him. He was the creator of this type of steel that would absorb.
He's a chemist or something.
Chemist / they're called metallurgist.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I've also had a chance to meet the person that actually does the boring of the howitzers. Like they make them in the
factory. That's their company.
Yeah, like in the factory. Like they're the one doing. I can't remember what the spiral's called. Is that the
rifling?
The rifling. Yeah, the rifling and all that. And both of them. The first one I met that created the V hull, I thanked him. I said, "You don't know how many times you have saved my life and my friend's life." And then
by making a good ass weapon.
Yeah, and then the other guy that I met from that did the howitzers for the 155s, he had so much pain and so much sorrow, and that I told him I was a Marine and I shot artillery, and he's like, "You don't even know." So you don't even know how I feel. It's like every weapon I make, I know that I'm just killing hundreds and thousands of people. And I was like, because he had got kind of smart with me, and I was like, "Dude, you don't want to mess with me, bro. I'm a United States Marine." And he's like, I was like, "I've done 4 combat tours." He's like, "Okay, cool." He's like, "You don't even know what's on my shoulders." And I was like, and then he dropped that on me, and I was like,
crap.
"Whoa, bud, like you obviously have some trauma that you need to deal with." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, as a guy who, just finished a philosophy book, I like to think about morality and, how we should be living our lives and how society should be structured versus how it is. And, being the kind of person that I am and then going to work for Lockheed Martin and going to work on these worldwide weapon systems, that's what they were. That's how they were classified. you're definitely selling pieces of your soul. You're definitely selling that little part of you that was a kid that, just wants to, help mom carry in the groceries.
Yeah.
And it really sucks when you have all these nice things around you. You have all the things that money can buy you. And that's kind of another reason why I wanted to do this trip and really strip my life down to the bones.
Mm-hmm.
Because something about, having the money around you where you can just go to any place that you want. You can live at the 5-star.
Or you just have it delivered to you.
You can buy the Lamborghinis. You can buy the big houses. You can just buy whatever you want. That's the beauty of being an American, right?
Yeah.
You have all this money and you can buy some of the coolest shit that the world can even produce.
Mm-hmm.
It gets into your head. It becomes part of your psyche, right? But it's so far removed from what humans really are. We're like these biological creatures meant to connect to society, do good around us and feel other people's energy, and things like that.
Yeah.
And you definitely just sell that piece of yourself that is the idealist when you go and work for these militaries. I mean, I felt like I never really had much of an option. My parents told me ever since I was a young kid, right, that going into the military was the best thing to do for my financial futures. Why'd you join?
I mean, I joined because I didn't really have a dad and I needed discipline. And it was definitely going to open more doors, right, than the doors that were in front of me. And I needed to get out of my hometown, man. There was just a very bad epidemic when it came to...
What was your hometown?
Tomball, Texas. So it's 45 minutes northwest of downtown Houston. Okay. At that time, it used to be cow pastures and and country roads. And it was just trying times, and like my mom was a single mom, and she afforded a lower middle class life, but college wasn't going to be paid for. I was too much of a derelict at that time to for them to buy me a car. And I was like starting junior college, and I didn't really apply I got good grades in high school.
Even then, you were doing military history.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
This is before time.
This is before, yeah. This is way before. And I did one semester of junior college, and I walked up to a Marine recruiter, and I said, "Hey, how can I get in the Coast Guard?" And he goes, "What are you, some sort of a pussy?" I said, "No, sir." And he goes, "Do you have a car?" I said, "No." He goes, "Do you need a ride home?" I said, "Sure." And we drove right past my apartment, straight to the recruiting depot. And then that was the first night I brought home a recruiter. And then I think maybe a month later, I was depped in. Then, several months after that, I was off to boot camp.
Oh, geez.
Yep.
Yep. One thing.
And I just ended up having to get placed in an MOS like artillery that was constantly being deployed, right? There's only so many batteries and so many battalions. And I got to my first duty station in January. And as I checked in, I had like my sea bags and my uniforms, and I had 2 other bags, and the corporal goes, "Why do you have so much stuff, PFC Joseph?" I said, "I'm moving here." He goes, "No, you're not. We leave in a month and a half. We're going to Iraq." And then I literally came home like 3 weeks later after my Christmas break, and my mom's like, "Why are you home?" And I was like, I'm on pre-deployment leave. Yeah, she's like, "What does that mean?" I was like, I'm going to Fallujah.
Yeah, and, you're going to the hardest place on earth.
Yeah. But it's the, like I said earlier, it was the traveling and the walks of life that I've met along my path that have changed this mentality. And honestly, it's the deep dive into American history that I had to do to get my bachelor's degree that made me really understand the path and the growth that this country has taken. And now, 275 years later, it's just like, it's gross. It makes me cringe that we're still dealing with the same problems of race and poverty,
identity politics is big.
All of it, and it's just that this feud between one side and the other, and I really don't think anything will absolutely ever change until they start doing term elections for Senate and House, because you have people that are lined with their pockets that have been in office for 30 plus years, and they, even if they wanted to vote a different way, they might not get reelected because big pharma and tobacco, and stuff like that. And it's just American capitalism at its best. And you realize that's why at the end of World War II, you know, our fights in fights in Korea, in Vietnam, and it was, you know, Truman's doctrine on the domino effect, and it was this: if one country falls to communism, then the rest will follow. And then that was the reason that I was like, instead of having communist countries, we're just going to go over there and interject American capitalism, right? You know, and that's
get the ball rolling.
Get the ball rolling, you know.
Get them on the right side.
And I believe
what we
that
think is the way.
I believe that's been the kind of like downfall, and it's, you know, if you look back at the Constitution and, you know, Benedict Arnold and stuff that they were writing after the American Revolution, is that the intention was never to have a standing army.
Yep.
It was never to have a standing army, right?
This was militia only.
Yeah, this was a free nation, right? And then it was after certain things of, I think it was World War II, right, that really kind of took us to the top, because we came out with the atomic weapon
and the Industrial Revolution and
all the
mechanization.
And then they realized that, oh wow, like, how much money did we make off like helping out World War I and then World War II, and then they realized, oh, this is how we're going to spread American capitalism is through the military-industrial complex. And I don't know if you've ever like Googled how many military bases are in the world, how many United States military
outside of the United States.
762.
Oh, I wouldn't have said that high.
762.
Okay.
And if you look at the globe, that after World War II, when we started like indoctrinating ourselves in these certain countries, that it's all strategically based towards China.
Right.
China and Russia, and about where the natural flow of oil is. You know, and it's just, it's a crazy concept. I don't know of one other nation that, you know, that in this world, in this country, that has another military base in another country. But for some reason, we do.
I think the United States, you know, tokes itself up as being like the land of the free and the land of opportunity and the American dream. And
it is, but you got to pay a pretty price, I'll tell you that.
Well, all I would say, you know, is America and the United States are full of people that really aren't that different from anywhere else in the world.
Nope.
We just benefited from having a heck of a lot of money. We had the industry, we had the cohesive society and that spirit of innovation that really developed all sorts of new technology. I think it's really remarkable. You look at like the last 100 years of huge technological advancements, ginormous.
Oh, huge leaps.
I mean, it's coming out of the United States.
Oh no, I do, and I think it's
but you can't equate, right, your financial ability with your moral compass and your moral capability, right? I think I was my Spanish teacher in high school. He kind of like opened up the doors of, here's all the history that we're going to teach you, this history in Spanish, so it's still Spanish, but I'm going to teach you about the history of the United States that they don't tell you.
Yeah.
You know, all like the Trail of Tears stuff, the wars in Guatemala, right? Like it's great that they allow, you know, foreigners into these areas. We bring money, of course.
No, for sure.
But we definitely had like little banana republics down here. We were funding all sorts and sending arms down here.
Yeah.
And I don't know all the history of what happened in Guatemala specifically, but all these countries have, you know, they were going to have democracies, right? And then we were like, well, that guy isn't very pro-United States. So we're going to topple him and input somebody else. And, you know, we put these countries, you know, back into the ground, into subservience. I think it's a huge privilege to just be able to earn dollars and travel and go spend dollars, because the currency is just so strong compared to everywhere else in the world. Yeah, and
I do agree.
You know, they try and scam you at the convenience store, but we got the whole world economy there by the gonads.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Totally agree.
That's the real privilege of being an American. And it's a shame that like 85% of people, like you said, only 30% of Americans have a passport, or 10%.
Yeah.
You know, and so you don't even know the strength of what it means to just have that U.S. passport. But I love coming back to the United States. It's full of problems. So many societal issues, so many issues. But when you want to like be able to go to a Walmart, dude, just being able to go to the retail store. Freaking privilege.
I do agree.
Yeah, because there ain't no Walmarts down here. It's you got to find, if you want like a notebook, you got to find the papeleria.
Yep.
You know. You got to find the taller for your tools. You know. You got to hike all the way around the city just to find a couple of things.
Yeah, it's the privilege of first world living, and it's like coming to countries like this and experiencing the walks of life to know that, like, wow, if I want to go buy an office chair, I gotta walk down a mountain, I gotta hop on a boat for 45 minutes, I gotta go to another town and hope that they have the chair
and
that I
then
want.
barter for it.
Yeah, and then barter for it. Right?
Yeah, because they're gonna charge you 1,000 quetzals for something.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So you experienced some harsh things in your tours of duty, I imagine, and
I mean, like, I have
part of your mental health, Yeah,
how do you
handle it?
I've had to see death and I've dealt death, and after I got out of the military, I got introduced into psychedelics, specifically LSD, and I was fortunate enough to come across the right medicine, right, the clean, authentic LSD 25. And I realized
there's a lot of differences, right?
Well, I mean, there's difference when you're talking like that, when you hear like bathroom acid, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or like just.
What even is acid? That's my question. LSD, it stands for something, but what is it? Like, is it made out of like household products?
No, it's specific molecules that combine that to make that. I'd have to look it up for you for me to be able to.
But it's relatively simple to make.
No, it's not simple.
No? Okay,
it's not simple at all.
Okay.
You're talking like making methamphetamines might.
Oh, well, you're saying bathroom acid.
Yeah,
like,
no, but that's what I'm saying.
Simple.
Like I just am fortunate enough to have like authentic, very clean LSD, and that I realized that. Like, it's sad to say, but I've lost 37 of my Marines that I've served with to suicide after the fact. And it's a staggering number. And I realized after the fourth or fifth one, I started asking questions like, am I going to end up like this? Like, how do I feel about suicide? Where am I at in my life? And then I realized that, like, after doing a little bit of investigative work, that when you get out of the military, right, at least what we say in the Marine Corps is that you're no longer at 1st Marine Division, you're now at 1st Civilian Division, right? So you don't have the brotherhood, you don't have somebody to wake you up in the morning.
You don't have anybody around you that even understands.
No, and you also don't have anybody to pick you up when you fall down, right? And to give you that structure. And then I had friends that have gotten driving while intoxicated, or have gotten a girl pregnant, or lost a job, or gotten a car wreck, right? And that for whatever reason, temporary problems, right? That always have solutions instead of taking your life, but they've turned to the bottle. They've turned to alcohol, they've turned to depressants and opioids. And that I believe that when you drink and consume those type of substances, it brings out the shadow people.
Yeah, the people that.
Well, it brings out the inner demons, right? And you're not thinking clearly. You might be blacked out. You're in this like depression state of trying to escape your problems, right? And then the escapism of it could be leading to blacking out, or it could be leading to taking your life.
I might have a beer every so often, but I do think that like drugs and alcohol are supposed to be like an escape from your life. It's a good way to push fast forward and get to the next chapter, right? But now that I feel like I have maybe complete control of my life, maybe for the first time ever, I feel very much like maybe I don't need anything else. Maybe being sober and experiencing my reality one piece at a time is the better way to do it. But I'm not dealing with PTSD. Yeah. I'm not dealing with the issues that soldiers have when they come back from war. I've heard horrible things. And it's crazy because, people will talk about their horrible experiences turning people into pink goo and white flakes.
Pink mist is what I like to call it.
Pink mist and white flakes.
Yeah.
And they'll say it with a smile on their face, like in their head, like they're right back there doing it again.
Yeah.
And people handle this shit very differently. They used to call it shell shock. Now it's more, they call it PTSD. PTSD was only like defined as a term in like the 90s. Like we're still learning about what this stuff is and how to treat it.
And so how I have decided, or how I've learned now, is through the taking medicine, which I call it, which is LSD, is that it expands your mind, right? It enlightens, and then what it does is that whatever feeling, trauma, or situation you're dealing with, whether you like it or not, it brings it out tenfold.
Right.
And you have to deal emotionally and cry and fits of anger and rage and then sadness and then laughter, which is like, kind of like the emotional states that you can be in of grief, right? And I've realized that after that LSD experience or whatever trauma that I've had, whether a breakup or loss of a job, that it has made me deal with that trauma now. And knowing that when I wake up the next day, that I have a better outlook on life. And I have been fortunate enough to spread this medicine around the world and through my travels for like a good decade now.
Because the pharmaceutical companies, the real benefit of defining PTSD in the 90s was that they could write prescriptions and give people whatever, mental stimulant or whatever mental fix that they could figure out with drugs, and then get people hooked on them. The pharmaceutical companies have no incentive to actually solve.
No, they don't want to cure you at all.
They want to keep you buying.
Yeah, they want to keep you buying
insurance, right?
Yeah.
But if somebody were to be cured, it would have to be through an experience like LSD, I would think.
Well, it's like take for instance.
That's what I've heard.
Well, yeah, it's like take for instance, like if I were have gone the different route, right? Like I am 100% disabled through the VA for PTSD. Right.
You've gone through some horrible things.
But the thing is that if I were to go to the psychiatrist, right, and I let them read my file, and I'm like, I want fucking Paxil or Zoloft or whatever those things are, right, the antidepressants, that you realize as soon as you take those things for longer than a month, you are hooked for life.
Oh yeah,
and then you have to slowly wean yourself off, and like who knows, it might chemically change your brain for the rest of your life. And like I'm happy and I'm fortunate enough that when you get 100% permanent and total rating from the VA, that you never have to go back.
Right.
But if you were to get 90% and PTSD was 50% of that, you would have to go back and talk to a psychiatrist every 6 months. And if you go in there and tell them that you're doing better, they're going to drop your benefits.
Woo!
Isn't that crazy?
It's a little fucked up, man.
It's out of control.
I mean, veteran benefits don't cost us nearly as much as the CEOs and all the people buying
Not at all.
these guns. These $50,000 warheads.
Yeah.
It's
crazy, man. And after I figured out the VA paperwork path and the right community outreach programs that aren't necessarily affiliated to the VA, I've been a VA advocate now. And so the last 8 years, I've been getting disability as my walks through life, and I meet fellow brothers and sisters that have served in the military, and I ask them, what's your disability rating? Tell me a little bit about your career. How did it work? Were you deployed? Do you have service-connected disability? And then I ask them, I go, hey, this is what I do. I don't want any money. You just have to trust me, and I'll guide you through your path. And I've been fortunate enough to take care of 15 to 17 people now and gotten them 100% disability and
deserved.
For sure deserved.
Yeah, I think people get scared of the system and trying to talk about what they're going through, and
which is scared of rejection.
Exactly.
It's like
being
hey,
told that you're not that.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I'm gonna open up. And I'm gonna go back in the deep dive of trauma that I have to deal with, and then all of a sudden you do it, and it's like roadblock, and then after one or two, you're like, I don't have the emotional capability to be able to want to put effort into this if I'm just gonna keep hitting.
And people hear horrible things about the VA.
Oh, terrible!
Like the processes and what it takes to get that disability. And dealing with all the poking and prodding. There's enough poking and prodding when you're going into the military. And then to prove disability, man.
I mean, I tell people sometimes, I'm like, the real reason why I don't ever get sick? Or why I don't think I'm able to catch an STD?
You're trained on Agent Orange?
No, I've got 26 shots of anthrax.
Oh, yeah, you went through that full panel?
Oh, dude, I went through the full panel.
I've heard of that shit. That's
went through the full panel, and I ate a full year of doxycycline.
What the fuck's that?
Doxycycline is for malaria. But it's like penicillin on meth.
So you're like a mutant then.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten every shot you possibly could.
Oh, yeah. Well, when you're in those war zones, that's what they do. They just load you up with fucking everything. Yeah. The anthrax, that shit burns your veins.
Oh, dude, it's terrible.
It changes your eye color.
The dreams on that and doxycycline are like It's like
You're just having nightmares.
It's like playing Doom.
You go to bed every night.
Yeah,
Holy
dude.
shit.
Yeah, and then if you add just a tad bit of alcohol, it's like it's a Alice in Wonderland twist. It really is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jesus, what an experience, man. The military is a crazy place.
Yeah. But
yeah. I'm glad acid was able to help you, LSD.
Yeah.
I think I just finished this philosophy book, right? This history of philosophy. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because Immanuel Kant had this idea that reality definitely exists, but it exists also in your human brain. And when you're viewing reality through your mind, it's like you're wearing a set of sunglasses. I love my sunglasses that are like blue filtering, because you can see sunsets that nobody else can see. The colors are just popping. It's amazing, right? But I feel like maybe that's what acid is like. Maybe you take off the sunglasses that you've been wearing for the 30 years, and you put on like some freaking kaleidoscope glasses.
Yeah.
And suddenly you start seeing, and it's not just like the world that you would see differently. It's yourself.
Oh no.
It's your history.
It's
right?
well,
you become a different person in a lot of ways.
I believe it's enlightenment, right? And like
so what's it like in your perspective?
In my perspective, it's enlightenment. It's about expanding your mind, right? And I believe like another substance that has helped me through mental health therapy would be the use of ketamine, right? And it's like
ketamine therapies.
Yeah, ketamine therapy. I was doing ketamine therapy before it was even talked about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, like this
so that's
was
a horse tranquilizer, right?
Like this was not administered by a doctor, right? Like I had purchased my own ketamine, right? And there are different molecules of ketamine for kind of what it does psychoactively, right? Like your veterinarian type ketamine, like horse tranquilizer, is the R molecule, right? And that makes you kind of feel bogged down, a little bit more disassociative, and it's more of a body high. And then if you do the S isomer, that is what they use for anesthesia, right?
Okay.
And that's what taps into these, I call them portals, right? Ooh. And that when you eat,
because it's not a very long high, is it?
No, it's not. It could be,
unlike acid, which can go on for 12 hours.
Yeah, 12 hours or so. And it's like what it does is it breaks down these emotional barriers that you've put up, and you have to kind of psychologically deal with them, right? And like my dad used to call it like living by the senses, right?
Okay. Doing ketamine with your dad?
No. I'm talking about like instant highs.
Okay.
Right? Like people are always worried about like touch, smell, feel, like all of these things, right? But like when you boil down to it, like that immediate high is only going to get you so long, right? But if you put in the time, the work, and the effort when it comes to mental health, right, you're going to get something out of it for the long term. And I was able to mend this into my mental health therapy after I would have sessions of talking about pink mist and almost losing my life or watching brothers and sisters die next to me, that this would open and expand and make me deal with the trauma now. And then when I would wake up, this would be psychologically as I'd go to sleep, and I'd wake up feeling like the pack I had on for the last 7 years I had finally dropped.
Right.
Yeah.
It's powerful how our minds shape our reality, and how you might be living like an amazing, privileged, or wonderful, beautiful life,
but you're stuck in this battle of depression.
Yeah, but you're just stuck.
I've had to battle with depression in the last 7 years more times than I'd like to mention. But what I've learned after a month of depression, and I can't seem to snap out of it, I tell people to start a gratitude journal. And so in the mornings when you wake up, before your phone, before the emails, before the text messages,
that's my routine,
and blah, 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 is that you have a journal sat next to your bed, right? And the first thing you do is you wake up, and you have to every day write 3 things down that you're thankful for. And you can't recycle. So it could be as I wake up, I'm glad that I woke up in a bed today. I'm happy that I have food. I'm happy that I have
my gratitude journal today would definitely say I'm glad they didn't launch any fireworks at 4 a.m. today. Because every day this week it's been fireworks all night long. And I don't know what they're doing over here.
It's the start of getting close to the end of the Mayan calendar, right? And so every single night, like when you
December 12th.
I think it's
from 21st.
Well, I'm not.
Okay.
I need to do a deep dive into more of mine.
All right.
But like, it's the build up to Christmas,
Yep,
right? And then it started with the Diablo Day, right? So I don't know if you were walking through the village a couple of days ago, but if you smelt a lot, of trash, right? So what they do is they take all of the negative things, all of the old shit that has been bogging them down, and they burn it.
Native Guatemalans.
Yes, and they burn
Interesting.
it.
Because I've seen the smoke plumes around.
Yeah, and they burn it.
I mean, I've only been here a week, so I don't know how normal any of this is. But man, they're launching fireworks off. Like,
yeah, well, it's gonna be like that almost every night. Like, I don't know if you've seen, like, down in the town center, is that they have like places set up for live music. So so last night everything was going till like 12:30.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting when you hear these kind of like as far as I know, Americanized Christmas songs being sung by like the local Guatemalans.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're singing Spanish, sometimes it's English.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, it sounds kind of like nails on a chalkboard to me.
Yeah.
So, but you know, it's like a community event. Everybody is here. I think like one thing I've observed about Guatemalans is like, they're perfectly okay just sitting and waiting somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
They'll wait for hours for something to happen.
I mean, but
as long as they know what's happening, they're just sitting there. And they might not be looking at their phones. They might not be drinking anything. They'll just be sitting there.
I think it's a difference of when it comes to living in a village, a town, and a city.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
The walks of life kind of slow down, right?
Right.
You know, you do see police around here.
Not many.
But not many. It's just to close certain establishments. But
and they're only here for certain hours of the day.
And the reason why is because this village polices its own.
Right.
So take, for instance, 2 years ago, I was here and I got to go to a public whipping.
Oh. What?
Right.
There was a public whipping.
A public lashing in town, and it was in the auditorium. And you're talking kids, you're talking women, men, everything. And the reason why is he was a derelict and drunk, and he had been robbing people. He had been breaking into houses.
I think I saw that guy actually. I see the same freaking guy that looks real strung out all the time.
Oh no! So there's only 3 homeless people in this town.
I think I know one.
I know he wears the plaid shirt and the green pants.
And they don't change very
No,
often.
he's been wearing the same clothes I saw 2 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah, and I buy him coffee every other day. I don't buy him beer.
You know, it's funny because like you see this stuff in the United States too, right? Like those people that are like face down on the pavement.
Yeah.
Like it's like the curb is like their pillow or something.
Yeah.
I saw that in Louisiana.
Man,
New Orleans
living in Vegas, dude, was.
People are dying on the streets there. It's like 120 degrees.
Well, that in San Francisco, man. San Francisco is go to San Francisco now is like walking into what the apocalypse would be if everyone was strung out on fentanyl.
I think it's insane though that there aren't more homeless people. I mean, 3 people in this whole village town. You know, that's not bad.
No, that's not bad at all. It's because they take care of their own.
Exactly. Right. They have those family values.
I've asked. He has no family, and he's got psychotic issues. He's bipolar or whatever you want to call it, you know.
Yeah. But you know, in the United States, man, we just have whole communities of these people, and there's like no easy answers. There's no solutions.
Maybe Elon Musk's $20,000 new pod that's coming out will be able to.
Yeah. $20,000.
He has a $20,000 fully sustainable electrical pod that is supposed to be coming out, like the size of a container. Yeah.
Does it have a Starlink up?
I'm sure it does.
Oh shit.
I'm sure it does.
I might get one now. God damn, but I don't know about anybody that actually needs them.
Well, I think it would be a nice thing for cities to buy for their communities for homeless people.
True.
Right? Or building some sort of like ecological village of, tiny homes that you start taking homeless people off.
I do think it's amazing in Latin communities, countries, villages, towns, cities, what have you. There's not really a panhandling culture. They're not asking you for like straight up money.
No.
If somebody is in need, they're going to be trying to sell you like some candy.
Yep.
Or they're trying to sell you like a trinket.
They have a hustle.
Yeah, they have a hustle. And I think it's refreshing, where people don't just sit there with like a little plaque that says, feel bad for me, help me please, anything helps kind of thing. And we're just very generous in the United States, and those people may make like $20 an hour doing that.
For sure.
Like, why would you can't get a job that pays more than panhandling in the States? And a lot of the time, these people have cars, or they might be living in them. Like, I have no doubt they're in bad situations, right? but it takes away any sort of reason to start on a path that actually has a future, right?
No, yeah, for sure.
It's a cycle that
It's
perpetuates
it's
itself.
an inspection cycle, and it's like, hey, how much money till I get the next
Yeah,
rock?
so it's like, yeah, like, sure, the United States, land of the free, land of opportunity, all this great stuff. Well, I mean, just in terms of homelessness, general happiness, you know, Lake Atitlán is freaking peak.
Oh yeah,
there's-
it's one of those places, man. It's my Never Never Land mixed with the labyrinth.
Oh yeah, dude. So I've caught myself multiple times saying San Pedro, Lake Atitlán is an island.
Yeah, no, I know you kept saying it the other night.
I kept saying it.
You're like, I got here by boat.
I got here by boat. To me, it feels like an island because,
Yeah.
like, this whole place, like, the people that I meet, the expats, the locals, like, this is a very secluded area. Mm-hmm. You know, if I were to do, like, just a couple second elevator pitch for, like, Lake Atitlán, it's like, this is the place to go when, you know, you have no other place to go, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is a place of acceptance. This is a place of, you know, good vibes and hanging out and finding those counterculture people, those people that are annoyed with society. People
For all you consumers out there that watch this podcast, don't tell anybody about it, all right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't want you to ruin it for me.
Oh, dude, it's being ruined though. It's 100% being ruined.
It has.
Because when I after 10 years, right, things have changed.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's subtle. It's taken me 3 weeks to really, like, pin down what my memories were and where things are at now. Now I see Jeep Wranglers everywhere. I see Escalades. Toyota Tacoma.
Antigua, all that
Antigua,
type of stuff.
Like, I got this cool video that I'm gonna probably put into a reel or something. This car, this Jeep or whatever that has full red LED light kits. Like, the rims are freaking huge. Like, this is something I would see in Miami.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I was talking to some locals about this, and they were like, well, people are getting outbid. You know, people are selling their homes to these foreigners, and there's really not that much restrictions on it.
No.
And yeah, this place is definitely people are coming.
People
figure out about this.
Dude, you have certain communities, you know, around the world that have slowly started interjecting themselves into places like this, and I call it more gentrification than
It's
anything else. And
right.
I'll be honest, it breaks my heart.
It does,
and like, I have no problem with you coming in and giving back to a community, but by raising prices and making it unsustainable for local populace, and then also paying the local populace.
Yeah, everywhere it's like a little San Francisco. People can't work and live in the same cities anymore, right?
Yep.
People can't. I mean, who's making your coffee?
Yeah, right.
If they got to bus in.
Well, hey, I don't mean to wrap up right now, but the bodegas and things close in a little while, and I haven't had dinner yet.
Okay, my brother. I appreciate you talking to me.
No, dude,
you're a great guy, Jadd.
Yeah, dude,
I look forward to hearing more about your story as things go on.
It's been great, and who knows, maybe there might be a second feature of me over in Asia when we cross paths again.
Hell yeah,
you know,
dude, write that book. I want to read it. I want to hear about your experience.
It's gonna start. It's gonna start soon, man. That was the purpose of moving here, was to start my master's degree, wake up happy every day, find the balance, and start writing the book.
Hell yeah! If you're looking for something similar, come to Lake Atitlán.
Yeah, right.
There's something for everybody.
Yeah, no doubt. Check you later.